Hello, geeks and gamers. Matt Lemke here with your gamer goggles, gamer-goggles.com. And today, I've got another flip through for you. This is on Dungeons & Dragons, Xanathar's Guide to Everything. This particular one is the actual collector's edition. I wasn't going to use this book for it because I figure most people bought the other one. Anyway, I'll be right back. See you in a minute. Alright, I'm back. So, one thing I do want to note is I'm not a super fan of these super glossy covers because, as you can see, they get a little bit scratched up, messed up a little bit easier than the others. They're really for looking at, and for me, my books are going to be functional, which looks like one of my kids dripped stuff on this one, which is another drawback to your collector's editions. Don't let your kids do things around them, even if they are 21. Anyway, please like, subscribe, share. This is a flip through. I've looked through the book a couple of times. I'm just going to go through it, which is a little bit different. I didn't really prepare anything because the book's a little different than a lot of the other books. And well, we'll get into it. When I first bought Xanathar's Guide to Everything, I did not read the description. So a little bit of background information. Xanathar is a beholder in Waterdeep who becomes the leader of the Thieves Guild. And so I thought that this book was going to have a lot more applications in that sense of it. But what the book actually has, it has character options for all the primary classes. Then it has a series of Dungeon Master's tools. Everything from simultaneous effects to falling to sleep to tying knots to magic items tables. It has spells lists and descriptions. Not a whole lot there. There's only like 4 pages. And then it has shared campaign information. Then it has a whole bunch of names and things like that in the back of the book, and different things like that. So as we flip through this book, you're going to see things like character options, and what kind of subclasses are available. So if you come here to the Barbarian, you're going to see Barbarian. You're going to see personal totems, some tattoos, superstitions that they can use, different paths. The path of the Ancestral Guardian, which is, these tribes teach warriors the path to linger with mighty spirits. I want to zoom out. And then there's another path of the Storm Herald. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail with all these. The book's been out a while. Some people already know a lot of this stuff. The Bard, I will go in probably to some of the more detail with the Bards because I'm working on some Bard stuff, so I've read this a little bit more in depth. You've got, with the Bards, you have your defining work, which is basically a piece that the Bard has created. And your defining works have a table here. You roll a d6. They broke it down to a table to make things easier for the creation. And you have different things like a waltz. You have, your first-hand account of being kidnapped by Sea Rivers as a child. Things of that nature. Now, you can work with your GM to change these any way you want. Your instrument, you can roll randomly for your instrument, or you can work with your GM again to figure out what you want. Almost every bard has suffered from some kind of embarrassment in their life in front of an audience. You wouldn't be a performer if you didn't get up and do something wrong at some point in time. So here's a list of some embarrassments. I mean, you can make this chart go all the way out to a D100 with nothing repeating, I'm sure. And then you have a bard's muse, and the muse is a particular concept basically that inspires the bard. So, and then it goes down into maybe nature is where you're feeling your kinship, where you're inspired by love. Many bards of history have been inspired by love. Some court jesters have actually written poems to queens and, lost their head as a result, right? So you can be inspired to the point of whatever your GM feels. They did something in here that I overlooked the first time I did it, and I regret overlooking it because I have already designed my own bardic colleges for my own game world. Now what they did is they built it into the class, and at 3rd level the bard gains the bardic college feature. That's something that I might actually go back and change in my game world when I start a new campaign. Because they do different things at different levels. They give you like different features. For example, a 3rd level bard gains a Mantle of Inspiration, which is right here. When you join a college, you gain the ability to weave song and fate magic items that imbue your allies with vigor and speed. And then you also get a couple others. Now we're not going to spend too much time, like I said, because I try and keep these to 10 to 15 minutes. But it goes into depth a little bit on different colleges, and maybe I can use it as a little bit more influence on mine. The College of Whispers features Psychic Blades, which I thought was really cool. Psychic Blades are when you join the College of Whispers, you gain the ability to make your weapon attacks magically toxic to a creature's mind. I just thought that was beautiful. And then you have Cleric. There's a whole bunch of stuff in the Clerics. I'm going to go to one that I don't talk about that often, and I'm going to look at the Ranger, because wait, maybe I went too far. Nope, I didn't go too far. Ranger archetypes. So there's the Gloom Stalker. They hide in dark places, and they gain the different features at the different levels, just like everything else has been done in this book. They gain spells at 3rd level, 5th level, 9th level, 13th level, and 17th level. Gloom Stalkers, in my opinion, tend to lean a little bit more towards stealth in escaping / types of trickery. There's a Horizon Walker, and they tend to walk on the horizon or in the sky type of thing. And then you have your Monster Slayer, who obviously is going to be set up with spells and things for banishing monsters. The Rogues have the same type of thing. They have an Inquisitive archetype, which is kind of, in my favorite, in my idea, it's the favorite of the ones that are presented here. Sorcerers. So as you can see, the first, 70, 80 pages. Oh, no. Here. I'm just cheating real quick. Go back. Oh, I should go talk about that too. The first 60 pages are about characters and their types of advancement. I'm going to throw this here real quick, because I usually talk about this at the beginning, but I skipped over it. My pages stuck together. So there's a small section on using this book, and it's written, they specifically say it's written for both players and dungeon masters. It offers options to enhance campaigns in any of your worlds. You can use it in your own world. Now, much of this information was originally in Unearthed Arcana, a series of online articles. So basically, it took a whole bunch of stuff that they've been doing for 5th edition online, and they compiled it into a book. So if you've been following Unearthed Arcana, you have a lot of this. So the book relies on the rules of the core rules, or relies on 3 core rules books. And then the DM educates the rules. They want to let you know that that's actually important. One rule overrides all others. The DM is the final authority of how the rule works in your game. And then there's certain things they want you to remember, rounding down, exceptions, etc. And they go through this big thing. So all these things are apparently important to your knowledge before you use this book. And then on page 60, it starts, this is your life. And these are, again, it specifies that these are ideas, not rules. And it goes into more origins and things of that nature for defining your characters. So parents, half-elf parents, half-orc parents, tiefling parents, where you were born. Things that you're already familiar with. Some of these things are new, some of these aren't really new. And when I say new, maybe like, let's see here. You get to something like childhood home. Your role in childhood home. Some of this stuff wasn't in the earlier books. that's all I wanted to really show you, is that they give you new options for druids, barbarians, monks. For example, a monk on a d6, which I rolled a 1. I was chosen to study at a secluded monastery. There, I was taught the fundamental techniques required to eventually master a tradition. I do not believe that is a reprint. And then it goes into, after a handful of pages, you get into racial feats with what's next, which is leveling up in class the main way a character evolves. During campaigns, some DMs also allow feats to customize your character. So here we have some racial feats that you're allowed to take. And we'll look at half-elf, elven accuracy. So we're going to turn the page, find elven accuracy, and we're going to look at it no matter how big it is. It's for elf or half-elf. You must be of one of these two races. The accuracy of elves is legendary, especially that elf archers and spellcasters. So you increase your dexterity, intelligence, wisdom, or charisma score by 1 to a max of 20. Whenever you have advantage on an attack roll using dexterity or whichever, you get to reroll one of the dice. Whoa! That's really good. Whoa! And then, starting in page 77 and pretty much finishing out the book, which is another 100 pages, is Dungeon Master's Tools. And there's a lot of stuff here that can be used. One thing I want to note is that if you're playing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, I would say that these do not have to be added. These are like plug-and-play rules. These are not, I don't think you're going to go to a game convention and be expected to know these rules if you've never seen this book before. So one of the things that they mention here is Adamantine Weapons. Adamantium is super hard, right? So melee weapons and ammunition made or coated with adamantine are usually effective when used to break objects. Adamantine version of weapons, 10 pieces of ammunition costs 500 gold. Whether it's a weapon or ammunition made of the metal or coated with it. Doesn't really matter. Hits an object. Whenever adamantine weapon or piece of weapon hits an object, the hit is a critical hit. That's good to know. I didn't know that before. Sorry guys that I've cheated. There's alchemist supplies, cook's utensils, disguise kits. There's a lot more kit information here for building out your characters. And I'm not really sure that this falls into DM stuff as much as this is really kind of more like for player characters here. Spellcasting. You have more information on perceiving spells. They have this whole new chart on area of effect and like cones and the way they work. So here's cones using tokens. Here's a sphere template. Me being a miniature war gamer, this is nothing new to me. And they have added a whole bunch of random encounter stuff, which is good. Being somebody who started playing Dungeons & Dragons in 1st edition, I loved getting together with my friends on a Friday night, not being prepared, and randomly rolling everything. We'd just be like, rah! There was even a section in the original Dungeon Master's Guide where you rolled like what size passage and room you were going into. It was really cool. The one time we rolled hallways for like an hour and we had random encounters in the hallway. It was a real blast. Here's a new section on traps. What do I want to say about traps? Well, I'm going to save that for an episode of Roleplay Ramblings because I think I can do a lot more with traps there than going over a few here. Like, they've got it broken down, simple level traps, and things like that. And I think that if you're going to take the time to use traps as a DM, you should find a way to make them efficient. I'm not saying cheat, but I'm saying make sure they somehow work. And that's a fine line, and there's going to be a whole show on just making traps work and using them to tell better story. So where are we here? So there's a whole section here on creating rivals for Downtime. And I actually think this is the best section of the book. And the reason why I think that's the best section of the book is because I feel that Downtime is one of the most underused elements of role-playing that a GM can use. Now, in all fairness, D&D Adventure League kind of works around pre-generated stories. So where you were going to really, really enhance your game with Downtime is not so much in those pre-generated stories, it's in your own home-brew games. That's where it's super, super, super good. So here is a whole bunch of common magic items. Some of these are really cool. Some of them are not so great. I thought I just saw it. Maybe it's on the next page. Lock of Trickery. It's a wondrous item and it's common. Lock appears to be an ordinary lock of any of the type described in Chapter 5 of the Player's Handbook. So basically whatever the GM wants, right? The tumblers in this lock magically adjust to thwart burglars. It's brilliant. I love it. Now, what I do wish there was more pictures for this section because there's not a lot of art in this book, and I really wish that at least with the collector's edition, you would get a lot more art, and you would get like, I mean, these are nice pages already, but I wish you would get like maybe that was an embossed picture because that picture would really pop off the page. The cover is beautiful. And then you get into your spells here in the back. I'm not going to do much with spells. Actually, since 5th edition's come out, since I playtested it, I have not played a spellcaster. So I kind of really don't know a lot about spells. Which is really weird, because usually I play something that casts spells at some point in time. In the back, here we go. So here's Appendix A for shared campaigns, and it talks about how to design adventures, your character creation stuff, you know, how your starting equipment breaks down, your variant rules, what you do and do not want to use. And then Appendix B is this thing on character names. So let's say you're playing a Dragonborn female. You can roll on this chart and randomly generate yourself a name, or you can just read it and pick. I generally do things like use things from real life to name my characters. I'm playing a character right now that's Video spelled backwards. His name's Oative. Human names. Big thing on names, which I thought was cool, but was it necessary to publish this in the book, or would they have been better off with an app that they could have created and said, here, buy this app for 99 cents? I don't know. So, what do I think about Xanathar's Guide to Everything? Wow, this is interesting, because when I bought the book, I really thought it was going to be about Xanathar and his background in Waterdeep as being the crime lord that he is as a beholder. So that was very disappointing to me, that it was more like a dungeon master slash players, a players slash dungeon master's guide encyclopedia to filling out your campaign, filling out your characters, and making new types of characters. There is a ton of good information in this book, you know, for both the players and the DMs, and that's where it wins. It loses if you look at the name and say, hey, that's bad to the bone, it's about Xanathar. And I think Guide to Everything is a bit of a stretch, because everything is a lot, and I mean, it is 200 pages-ish, but there's a lot more to D&D than everything that's in this book. If I had to crack on it, I would crack on the name, and that's really all I can crack on. I like a lot of the other information that's in here. Some of it I'll never use, but for the most part, for a book that I bought, I'll definitely get my money back out of it, or what I consider my value back out of it. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. This has been a flip through with Matt Lemke from Through Gamer Goggles, gamer-goggles.com. Please like, subscribe, and share. Tell your friends about me. You know, comment below. I want to hear from you guys. I want help. You know, as I'm starting roleplay ramblings up again, and this time I'm actually gonna shoot to do it every other week instead of once a quarter. Anyway, later. Hi guys. Meet the Nibbles, who's gonna go down. She just did
decided not to go down my back, so we'll do this for her so she's comfy. Thanks for watching my video, and I appreciate it. Please hit the like button and share it if you know somebody who might be interested. And of course, there's always Twitter and the Facebook thingy, and soon I have a newsletter coming. That'll be down there or in the link below, and my kitty cat loves that idea. So anyway, there was one more thing. Oh yeah, subscribe. Be a part of my community, our community. Let's make it grow together. See you guys at a con somewhere, or a local store, or if I'm driving through the country, maybe a game club. I don't know, you're not going to go knock down my camera. Bye, guys.